Truth Man here. Shout out to Charles for the content by request, the $5 Cash App. And those of you who don't know, I will talk about any topic that you want. If you pay the content by request fee, which is a mere measly $1.99, you pay more for a Snicker. You can make it more if you want, but that's the minimum fee. And I appreciate Charles for supporting this channel. He's been a great supporter of this channel. And it's just a usual thing for him. So me and Charles talked last night, and you know we had this conversation about this. And I'm listening to Charles's testimony, and I'm seeing Charles, great grace shown towards you from the Most High, mercy shown towards you from the Most High. And I know because your parts of your story is similar to mine. I've never been to jail, ever, never. The Most High, you know, he spared me. But the same, we had to learn. You said, how can I overcome the inner agony that you have and forgive your mother for how she made y'all play second fiddle to some of her boyfriends after she left your father to get back on the dating scene? This happens, man. Even I know people act like, and y'all hear me saying the 80s was better, 90s was better, but stuff was still going on back then. And he basically says, man, if you don't mind me telling this, Charles, so if anybody else is dealing with the same thing, then this is for them too. And that's how content by request helps other people as well as the person who makes the request. Is you the question that you have might benefit somebody else. And I'm gonna read the question when I stop. Just give me 1 second. So let me read Charles's question, then we're gonna go for a ride. He says, so my question is to you. I ain't gonna read the rest of it. God. Okay. He says, I release this inner agony. He said, how do I release this inner agony and forgive my mother with a godly forgiveness, because I truly love my mother? How you do it, Charles? First thing, oh man, dude, that's inconsiderate, man. You need to move, dude. You can't just block. These people is crazy. Don't hit his car, man. This, okay, perfect for you, Charles, for this content by request. The first thing is, you gotta realize, and I'm not shooting down on your mother, people crazy. If you see what this dude is doing, you know that sometimes our parents don't even mean to do and say some of the things they do and say. It's just a product of the environment. Could be the water, could be the air, but these people, a lot of these people is crazy, man. You know, like for instance, this person knows that I'm gonna have to get out the parking lot. He blocks me in, and now you gotta move. You shouldn't have never blocked me in. Like, people be that lazy, man. Lazy is crazy. Like, a lot of time, you gotta realize that being lazy is a mental illness. So when it comes to parenting, when it comes to working, or anything else, a lot of times people be lazy because they be having a mental defect. And I'm not shooting down on nobody that's too skinny or too fat, but I'm telling you, man, there's something going on mentally that make you not have the mental capacity to do what you need to do to take care of yourself or to take care of others sometimes. In the case of you, with your sisters and stuff, these women do that all the time, man. They put these pookies in front of y'all. And of course, some guys are just good guys, and they'll be willing to raise somebody else's kid. I'm gonna tell you the truth, Charles. Me, if I deal with a woman that got kids, I'm not, if they father's still around, especially, because sometimes we gotta realize, and if this cut off, we'll just do a part 2 because I didn't look at my space. But sometimes we just gotta realize that guys be looking at it like these ain't my kids. But me personally, I wouldn't dog her kids, but I wouldn't try to raise her kids either. And if I was into her like that much, I'd be like, look, you say they father want them around. You should talk to him and see if he want them to come live with him. And it wouldn't matter if she said, no, I ain't doing that because I ain't going to move in with her anyway. So it wouldn't even matter. But when you deal, like I'm 50, and I deal with women up in their 40s and stuff, a lot of time they gonna have kids. If they don't, it's a plus. But then the question is, why don't they have kids? So you told me the testimony that you shared with me last night, you've been forgiven for a lot. And so one of the easiest things, well, it's not easy all the time, but if you keep it in perspective, it's kind of easy, is when you've been forgiven by the Most High, that same forgiveness, one way you show your adoration to him is by forgiving others. Like, I ain't kicking it, I ain't rocking with everybody, but I'm forgiving everybody. I'm not holding no grudges, because to me, how can I even hold a grudge for all the stuff? This is how I think. How can I hold a grudge for all the stuff I've been forgiven for? And if something were to happen, it's going to hit you even harder because you were not forgiving her like you should have. You don't got to deal with her. Because look, you gotta be accountable for your actions, whether people forgive you or not. So when you dog people, if they don't want to deal with you, you gotta accept that. You gotta be accountable for those actions. That's just the way it is. But when my father passed, it's like it hurt. And it hit me, man. And I cried. I felt like a little boy again and getting patted on top of his head by his father and looking up to his father, just seeing him in that coffin like that. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Don't get that wall thing, man. Don't because boy, when they put them in that wall, that, like, I saw my cousins, my little brother, everybody. That was just devastating seeing them slide him in that wall like that. I'd rather them just put them in the ground. And it's like every time I ride past that cemetery with that wall like that, it just don't, that don't do that. I would advise you. But the thing with me and my father, man, is we fell out, and my father, like, he was, to be honest with you, he was always a great guy. But like one thing about some parents, when they start getting older, they start saying and doing little stuff that you probably ain't gonna necessarily like. So if I had to compare my father when I was grown to my father when I was a kid, clearly my father was like the main reason why my childhood, growing up in the 80s in Milwaukee on the north side on 19th Street, was so good. I had an excellent childhood upbringing. Like, the things I did to entertain myself and my friends, and especially my parents, like, those were very fond memories. And me and my father fell out though, because I was going through a financial thing, and he was getting these settlements, and was what I felt like, or I don't like to say felt like, that's what women say. To me, he was being a little selfish and stingy with him. And so, like one particular time, me and him got in a heated argument because of it. Like he wasn't like this. To me, I looked at it like this: he had hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he knew I was down there going through a hard time, and he wasn't like going. To me, he could have did more to help us. It wasn't his responsibility. But listen, man, that's what's wrong with black people. Man, help your kids. Sometimes you just help your kids. Like other people help their kids, no problem. Be leaving businesses for them. Okay, at least, especially if you ain't gonna leave a business, help your kids. But that's what it was about. My uncle, I saw my uncle, he was basically saying, man, y'all gotta let that go, and something happened. And I listened to him, and so we ended up talking again, and we kind of made up and stuff like that. And when he passed away, that's the first thing I thought about. Like, I was glad that we made amends, that we made up. That I just refused to hold that against him, even though, man, it was bad, y'all. It was bad. Let me just share a little bit of it with y'all so y'all can understand where my venom was coming from. So I used to have a job before this, like before he even started getting the settlements or whatever, at Domino's. I was a delivery driver at night, and I was making good money. And but my parents didn't like. They thought the job was unsafe, and so they said, "Well, we'll help you start your own business. You need to just quit that job, right?" When I quit the job, they didn't help me. They didn't help. I was furious. And so, like, what year was that? 7 years later, I chose to move to Texas. And stuff got rocky, was rocky in the beginning, and like different patches while we were there. And I called my father for help, and he was doing little stuff, but he wasn't doing based on what he had. And so me and him got into it. Like, we got into an argument, and I wasn't disrespecting him or nothing, but I was telling him how I felt about it. And we stopped talking for a while. But one of the things that helped me forgive him is I looked at all the stuff that I had been forgiven for from the Most High. So I looked at it like, why wouldn't I forgive, having been forgiven for all of this? That's number one. Look at the fact that you've been forgiven. What if the Most High didn't forgive you? You'll burn in hell. You'll be, dude, come on, man. I just don't like how they just keep, y'all see me, these people just keep doing stuff, man. I know he saw me coming across there. So, I ain't gonna stun these people. So I thought about all the stuff that I've been forgiven for, and it made me, like, more apt to forgive. Think about the progress you done made with the Most High. And understand that progress can be hindered by you just not letting that go. Man, I know if I didn't experience it, I had my own, we all got our own set of problems, man. But I know how problems work, how like sometimes it just be hard to let go. Like even like how people done did me on these jobs, man. Like y'all hear me talking about it, but it be mainly to help y'all, not because I'm holding a grudge against any of them. Like if I saw them, like I just saw them. Like it's only a couple of them that I really want to address this whole thing with. That being one of them lieutenants, I want to ask him like, dude, why would you tell me not to break up fights? Like, will you underestimate me or what? Look, because I don't really know you like that. I just would want to shed some light on the situation, because I was told by another person that's smaller than me, by the way, that he said I learned practically suplex dudes right in front of him. And I'm like, why would he tell me that? He said, I don't know. He didn't even know. Like, but to his credit though, he's not the only one that was saying that. That's how they trained us. If they're fighting and nobody's unconscious, he almost said it word for word like they did. Don't let them fight, call it in, and the people that's in support will come and break it up. That's why it make me think that it was some extra with him with that situation. It could be the people that respond. I don't know if he called himself going with them or liking them. Because a couple women came over there and responded first. Like, I don't know if that has something to do with it. But clearly him and his trainers, which were very good trainers, by the way, were not on the same page, clearly. If they all tell it, some of them male, some of them female, they all saying the same thing. If they fight, and I bet you when they heard about what happened, they probably agreed with me. I know they did. They like, well, you know, he more old school, but that ain't how we train him now. I bet you that's what they said. He expected me. This is how inconsiderate people can get when they more comfortable than you. So if I would have did things the way he wanted, I would have either went to jail or got in trouble or something. Because that's not how they would have been like, who trained you to do that? That's what they would have said. He was there longer than practically anybody. So, like, sometimes people develop bad habits or something, or like maybe his philosophy is outdated. But I told him to his face, that ain't how they train us. They train us that if they're fighting and it's like a fair matchup, so what? He got knocked down. He got back up and he kept fighting. He didn't get knocked out, like they say. I had to forgive them. I still had questions about like why would he come to me like that? This is a misunderstanding. Like you come at me like I'm weak. I ain't never been even thought of to be weak by people who know how I get down in them corrections. But they didn't know me clearly. Because trust me, if I got to doing what I do, they would have been on pins and needles. Not saying that I go too far, I don't. But some people hit harder than others. And I'm one of those people. I'm like, man, he act like he want to be cleaning up blood. Because I really could have stopped that fight by myself. I'm just being honest with you. I know there's a we grown man, Howard. Look. I felt their strength. I could have stopped that fight. Trust me on that. Nothing against them, but I could have stopped that fight. But I'm doing what they tell me to do because that's always been my style. I'm going to stick to how they train me. And if they try to go against what they say, then I'm going to troll them and make them look goofy like I did him. he just had the power. But he looked it very goofy, and I guarantee you, when the trainers found out what happened exactly, I guarantee you they agreed with me. For one, I'm finna show you. See, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all hear my signal, right? Why do people ignore signals? Like they want to crash. It's raining out here. I got other stuff to do. I don't feel like dealing with no crash. But the other girl, it had a situation on her dorm where like 3 or 4 dudes jumped a guy, and she didn't help him. All she did was scream on the radio, and he downplayed. That's part of one of the reasons why I quit, because I knew that he knew that people wasn't doing the phone list, and he ain't do nothing because they wasn't on probation, and maybe he liked them and knew them more than he knew me. That's number one. And number two, I also knew that he downplayed that situation with one of my coworkers, and then tried to argue with me like I'm weak or something. Like, dude, I can't work under you. I couldn't work under dude no more. Like, for me to work under him after that, it's like me looking in the mirror saying, you ain't no man, you a boy. But I still forgave him. Would I kick it with him? Nah, absolutely not. I wouldn't trust dude. I wouldn't kick it with dude. Not after that. Heck no. I kick it with the sergeant that had my back and was acting like he knew what he was doing. That's the one I would have kicked it with. Not him. He was on something else. Clearly. So, but in my heart, it's no ill. If I saw him and he tried to act like he just was just this innocent guy that was in favor of me, I probably put him in his place a little bit. But I don't have no grudge against him. That was just a job, man. Like, for one, another thing you do, Charles, you gotta realize that this life is temporary. And even the people that you are more closer to in terms of blood, so on and so forth, you may never see them again through eternity. So you gotta press on through life, man, knowing this, man. You got salvation. You got something that most of these people don't have. So forgive and press on. Forgive and continue this race. You don't got time to stop running this race because of something that happened to you when you was a kid. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. Y'all know, let me show y'all something. It's a red light. Y'all see that right there? A dude in kindergarten hit me with a block. I slapped him or something. I did something to him first. He grabbed that block and he either threw it or he hit me with it. But I had to go to the hospital and get stitches, and I got that mark to this day. I don't even remember who he is. I don't, like we as adults, that should be easier for us than when we kids. A lot of years done passed since that happened with those dudes. So all we could do is press on and try to get what we didn't get back then from our lives. You a man now. You don't, no disrespect to your mother. You said you love her dearly, but you don't need her like that. So it should be easier for you if she cut up on you, because you already done seen her cut up on you. You already seen her cutthroat you. You know, so it should be easier for you to be like, okay, well, and go do what you do. Like whatever you put in that microwave, we heard you on the phone. You over there cooking, eating. That grudges, that kind of stuff mess up your sleep, and it'll affect your appetite. And hey, look, I might need to lose a couple pounds, but I'll do it without my appetite being affected, man. I still want to eat, man. Hey, listen, man. So, the same measure of forgiveness and grace and love that the Most High showed towards you when you was out there doing stuff he didn't like. You was doing stuff he didn't like. I was doing stuff he don't like. And he forgave both of us, man. You know? And these other people, man, if they want to walk in unforgiveness, let them do it. But we've been forgiven, so we don't need to do that. So you remember the measure that you've been forgiven with, number one. That's number one. Number two is you understand that it's gonna affect your life in ways that you don't need your life to be affected if you choose to hold on to that. That's number two. And number three is your mama may pass away before you. You don't want to be one of those people that say, man, I should have did this. I should have did that. No, you could do it right now. You could let go of that right now. Forget them dudes. They ain't even around. And a lot of women is doing that. I remember when I was working in juvenile, the kids that was respectful and would listen and would talk, man, I used to have some. Man, that's one thing I missed about juvenile where I used to work. Texas, you can barely talk to them. But where I used to work, it's like they don't care as long as you do your job. Like you can literally talk to them and stuff like that. And I found out a lot of stuff, man. Like a lot of them parents was dogging them kids out, man. You brought them in this world. Like I told y'all, like me and you talked about with my son. I made up in my mind that no matter how much she get on my nerve, I'm not finna leave my sons. Even as teenagers, I wasn't finna do it. And I held on as long as I could. You know, it wasn't all bad days, but the bad just started to linger. And it's like, yeah, I got daughters, man, but look, man, I can't go no 4 more years, man. I got to let her do whatever it is she want to do. And that's not me. She don't want to do me. Whatever she want to do and whoever she want to do, trust me when I tell you, I'm about to get out of her way and she could go do it. And who's to say that it ain't going to be the same thing with my daughters? But I'm going to be around, so I'm gonna be a nuisance to them if they try to even consider, like, and if she even try to consider putting that dude in front of my daughter, okay, it's time for them to live with me. You go focus on your punks. That's how I'd be like, go focus on your bitcha niggas. And I probably just say it. But you don't need them. See, these women be using kids for child support, and if they don't get no child support, let's say your father not supporting very well, they'll try to take it out on the kids. And that's not right either. You open your legs thinking that you some type of porn star and had them kids. You know? So now it's time for you to man and woman up. You can let that go, bro. You can trust me. I know you can let that go, man. Them people on your job probably did you worse than that. And even with them, you gotta let that go with them too. You ain't there for them, you know that. And you told me about the one dude, we ain't gonna say his name on camera in case he watching me. Like, dude is weasel, but you forgive him. You don't need him. Forgive him, you don't need him. It ain't a person in this world that you need. The person, the being that you need is far above and beyond this world. So how we conduct ourselves is should be more of what he wants, because he's more important. And besides, what I learned, man, what are you getting out of holding grudges? Nothing. You can't even think about it. Let's say you went on a vacation of your life that you always wanted, and then you see the person that you holding a grudge against. That'll mess up the whole freaking vacation. Man, let this stuff go, man. Let it go, man. Like what your mama did, you gotta do like this. This is how you gotta forgive her. You gotta take that, grab it out of your heart and mind, and do this with it.